What if I told you that most of what you believe to be true is actually a lie? That voice in your head telling you that you're not good enough? The thought that people are judging you? The belief that you need to work harder to prove your worth? None of these thoughts are real. They're just stories your mind creates, and yet you live your life as if they are facts. Joseph Nguyen, in his book Don't Believe Everything You Think, reveals a truth that might shock you. Your thoughts do not reflect reality. In fact, most of them are illusions, shaped by past experiences, fears, and emotions. So why do we trust them so much? And more importantly, how can we break free from the trap of overthinking, self-doubt, and anxiety? Today, I'm going to show you exactly how to stop being a prisoner of your own mind and start seeing the world for what it really is. If you've ever felt trapped in your own mind, overthinking, doubting yourself, or believing negative thoughts, you're not alone. But what if I told you that the problem isn't your circumstances? It's the way you think about them. That's exactly what Joseph Nguyen explores in his book, Don't Believe Everything You Think. Unlike traditional self-help books that focus on positive thinking or mindset hacks, this book dives much deeper. It reveals a profound truth. Your suffering doesn't come from the outside world. It comes from your mind's interpretation of it. Joseph Nguyen is an expert in psychology and human consciousness, and in this book, he breaks down how our thoughts create unnecessary stress, anxiety, and emotional pain. His core message? You are not your thoughts. By understanding this, you can break free from limiting beliefs, quiet the mental noise, and finally experience true peace. But how exactly do we do that? Let's start by uncovering one of the most powerful insights from this book. What if I told you that your thoughts are lying to you every single day? Most people assume that their thoughts are reliable. If they think something, it must be true. But Joseph Nguyen makes a bold claim in Don't Believe Everything You Think. Your thoughts are not reality. They are just interpretations. Imagine this. You text a friend and they don't reply for hours. Instantly, your mind jumps to conclusions. Did I say something wrong? Are they ignoring me? Do they not like me anymore? Your heart rate increases, anxiety kicks in, and you start overanalyzing. But later, you find out they were just busy. Nothing was wrong. The problem wasn't reality, it was the story your mind created. Joseph Nguyen explains that our brain is constantly filling in the gaps with assumptions based on past experiences, fears, and biases. And more often than not, these assumptions are completely wrong. Here's why this happens. Your brain prioritizes survival over accuracy. It's wired to detect threats, so it often creates negative scenarios, even when there's no real danger. You see the world through a filter of past experiences. If you've been rejected before, your mind will assume rejection is happening again, even when it's not. Emotions distort perception. When you're anxious or insecure, every neutral event can seem like proof that something is wrong. The key takeaway? You don't have to believe every thought you have. Instead of reacting instantly, pause and ask, is this thought actually true? Or is it just a fear-based assumption? This small shift in awareness can completely change how you experience life, reducing unnecessary stress and helping you respond with clarity instead of fear. Have you ever tried to stop negative thoughts, only to have them come back even stronger? Most people think the way to overcome negative thinking is by fighting it, by forcing themselves to think positive or distracting themselves. But Joseph Nguyen explains that this approach often backfires. The more you resist a thought, the stronger it becomes. Imagine telling yourself, don't think about a pink elephant. What happens? You immediately picture a pink elephant. This is how the mind works. Whatever you fight, you feed. So how do we actually free ourselves from negative thoughts? The answer is counterintuitive. You stop taking them seriously. Nguyen introduces a 3-step process to escape the cycle of overthinking and negativity. 1. Observe your thoughts without judgment. Instead of reacting emotionally, simply notice your thoughts. When you have a negative thought, don't fight it. Just observe it as if you were an outsider. Try this. Next time your mind says, "I'm not good enough," instead of believing it, pause and say, "That's an interesting thought." This simple shift creates distance between you and the thought. 2. Stop giving thoughts power. Thoughts only have power if you believe in them. When a negative thought appears, instead of engaging with it, imagine it as a passing cloud in the sky. Just because it's there doesn't mean you have to react to it. A great exercise is to visualize your thoughts as leaves floating down a river. They come and go, but you don't have to chase them. You can simply watch them pass. 3. Shift your focus to the present moment. Most negative thoughts are either about the past, regrets, mistakes, or the future, worries, fears. But the present moment is rarely as bad as our mind makes it out to be. Try grounding yourself with this simple technique. Look around and name 5 things you see. Name 4 things you can touch. Name 3 sounds you hear. Take 2 deep breaths. Smile, yes, even if you don't feel like it. This instantly pulls you out of your mind and back into reality. The truth is, you are not your thoughts. The moment you realize this, you gain control over your inner world instead of being controlled by it. What if the biggest problem in your life wasn't your circumstances, but the way you think about them? I used to believe that if I could just fix everything around me, get a better job, improve my relationships, or be more productive, then I'd finally feel happy and at peace. But no matter how much I achieved, the anxiety never fully went away. Then I read, "Don't believe everything you think," and one sentence completely changed how I saw the world. You don't suffer because of reality. You suffer because of your thoughts about reality. That hit me hard. I realized that most of my stress wasn't coming from what was happening in my life. It was coming from the stories I was telling myself. The moment that changed my perspective. Not long ago, I faced a situation that put this lesson to the test. I had been working on a big project for months, putting in late nights and sacrificing weekends. But when I finally presented it, the feedback I got wasn't what I expected. Instead of praise, I got constructive criticism, and my mind went into a downward spiral. They don't think I'm good enough. I failed. What's the point of trying? Before, I would have let these thoughts consume me. I might have even considered quitting. But this time, I stopped and asked myself, what if none of these thoughts are actually true? Instead of reacting emotionally, I just sat with the discomfort. I looked at the situation without attaching a story to it. And the truth was, the feedback wasn't negative at all. It was constructive. My team wasn't saying, "You're not good enough." They were saying, "This can be even better." The only problem was how I chose to interpret it. That single shift in perspective turned what I saw as a failure into an opportunity for growth. What this means for you, I share this story because I know I'm not the only one who's been stuck in their own thoughts. Maybe you've been holding yourself back because you assume others are judging you. Maybe you've convinced yourself that you're not smart enough, not talented enough, or not deserving of happiness. But let me ask you this. What if everything you believe about yourself is just a story your mind created? What if you've been living inside a prison that doesn't even exist? Think about the one thought that's been causing you the most stress lately. Now ask yourself honestly, is it a fact or just an assumption? Do you have actual proof, or are you filling in the gaps with fear? If someone else was in your position, would they see it the same way? This simple practice can be life-changing, because once you realize that you are not your thoughts, you regain control. You stop being a victim of your mind and start becoming the observer of it. Now, I want to hear from you. What's one thought that has been holding you back lately? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. Let's start a real conversation about this. And if you found this video valuable, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more insights like this. Remember, your thoughts do not define you. You are the awareness behind them. Let that sink in. In his book, he